This entitled friend has just stolen their buddy's identity and committed crimes under their name. Then watch as they honestly believe the friend should go to jail, even though they are innocent. How will they seek justice? Happy birthday, today's your birthday, and on with the revamped show. About 15 years ago, I was in a car accident. Not my fault. And I was awarded $25,000 in insurance money as a result. I took the opportunity to move out of my mum's home and get a cute little studio apartment for me and my cat. The people on either side of the courtyard were very nice, and I made friends fairly quickly with all of the neighbors, despite being so much younger than all of them. After living there for around a year, I met a girl my age and we became, I thought, good friends. She had had marriage problems and was separated from her husband, and the 2 children she had were in foster care for reasons she wouldn't tell anyone. She begged me to help her get her kids back from Child Protective Services. So I got a list of guidelines from the local office, and together, Beggar and I started planning to try and get her children back. I bought her children furnishings and helped her get a job. I even used some of my insurance money to help her get a used car so that she had transportation for her and her kids. And she did get her kids back. They had a small 2-bedroom apartment. She slept on the couch and her children each had their own bedrooms. The girl's room was decked out in Dora the Explorer furnishings that I had bought for her, and the boy's room was decorated with sports cars, as he requested. It was a lot of money, but I was a sucker, and I thought it was a good cause. Soon after getting her kids back, she stopped coming over as often. Her kids came over all the time, but she was usually nowhere to be seen. I found out that she was attempting to settle things with her husband, and he moved in with her, bringing his drug problem with him. I also noticed the sleeping arrangements had changed. They had crammed the children into the smallest bedroom together, pawning off all the toys and furniture that wouldn't fit. Apparently, they used the money on pills. At this point, I sort of started distancing myself from Beggar, because I don't want to be involved with someone doing drugs. I did still watch the kids, however, as I felt bad for them. Their parents were often found loaded up on pills and alcohol. At this point, I was out of insurance money and was working 12-hour shifts with elderly hospice patients as a caregiver. I used a large portion of my income to make sure the kids were fed, since Beggar and her husband spent all their money on drugs and liquor. It also meant that I very rarely had time to hike down to the center courtyard to check my mail. I'm guessing I had gone a month without looking, expecting that all I had was a few catalogs and several copies of the weekly shopper coupons. I've learned my lesson, and I check my mail often now. When I opened my mailbox, I was alarmed by the large stack of government-sealed letters that had been wedged in it. There were 6 separate letters, all of which accused me of a different offense. This culminated in my having 5 warrants out for my arrest and a court date. It turns out that Beggar had gotten an old used car from a local junk dealership. The car had, if I can remember the list, no tags, an expired license plate, and a missing tail light, so of course it was pulled over. Beggar, being on a probational period with CPS, meaning if she stepped out of line they would take her kids away again, panicked and decided that she would lie about her identity. So she said she was me, and she was driving without a license and insurance because she had forgotten her purse. The first thing I did was go to her and ask what this was, as I recognized the model of car as the one she was so proud to have gotten, after having pawned the car I helped her get a year prior. I didn't even know you could pawn a car, by the way. She smiled at me and simply said, "You don't have a criminal record, so they won't punish you like they would me. You don't want me to lose my kids again, do you?" I'm not sure what she expected, but I was beyond caring at this point. I was ticked off. The first thing I did was cancel my work for the next few days, and I set about making appointments with a lawyer and the police officer that took Beggar's word that she was me simply because she knew my name and address. The next day, I was at the police department where I watched a video of the interaction between the cop and the Beggar. Turns out he was a newbie, and he just didn't want to get in trouble for taking someone's word when he really shouldn't have. And luckily for me, Beggar's husband was there, and she was instructed to switch seats with him because "I can't allow you to drive without proper ID, ma'am." She then walked around the back of the car in full view of the camera. The officer admitted his mistake, since I wasn't pregnant, my hair wasn't a gigantic curly mess, and I was a good foot taller than she was. The next day, on my way out to visit my lawyer, I was waylaid by Beggar and Beggar's mum. They were both furious with me for going to the police, and I was instructed to go back to the station and tell them that I made a mistake, and that I actually was the one at fault. When I said no, the crap hit the fan. Beggar left, but her mother remained. She stood in my way on the path and wouldn't let me get to my car, all the while screaming about how she was going to tell everyone that I mistreated the children when they were in my care. I was young, and that did scare me a little, because I didn't want to be placed on a list for something I would never ever do. Still though, I recognized that she was screaming these threats in full view of many of the neighbors in my courtyard, many of whom had stepped outside to see what all the fuss was about. The police were called and she was given a warning. I was asked if I wanted to get a restraining order, but for some reason I said no. Over the next few days, Child Protective Services approached me and I told them everything, all the while feeling like I should have come forward sooner. The children were again taken into foster care, and that is where all of this should have ended, with me learning a valuable lesson. Nope. In the weeks that followed, Beggar gave my phone number to everybody under the sun. One of my car's windows was smashed in with a brick. At one point, people started coming and banging on the door of my apartment in the middle of the night, and they shattered my front window and broke my bird feeder. I was saved from taking any legal action for all of this when Beggar's husband and Beggar were thrown in jail for identity theft, buying and selling drugs, all of the charges that had previously been mine, and child endangerment. There may have been more, but I can't remember. The apartment hired 24-hour security because of everything that had happened, and they also installed security cameras all around the courtyards. I can barely see straight. I am so angry at this woman. So I work with a lady. She is the perfect entitled monster. We will call her Karen. Her name isn't Karen, but it fits. She's always trying to pass things on to other people that are her responsibility, and we have had long conversations before where she has explained to me why she never tips at restaurants, just to set the stage on what kind of human she is. I have textile hobbies. I sew, I crochet, I embroider. Sometimes I even lug around a piece or two of my work while it is in progress, to work on if I get a few free minutes. My sister-in-law has been pregnant, and her theme in the baby's room is elephants, arrows, and cherry blossoms. Whatever floats your boat. So I embroidered a few plain white linen type napkins for burp cloths with elephants, arrows, and cherry blossoms on them. Cute, right? I thought so. I brought one of the elephants to work a few weeks ago and was working on it during a lull while Karen was on her phone looking at Facebook. Karen looks over and says, "Oh, that looks pretty. What are you making?" I told her it was a burp cloth thing for my sister-in-law. Karen then told me, "You know my daughter-in-law is pregnant." No, I didn't know that. Congratulations. "I should get you to make her a set. She is doing the baby's room and little giraffes. And..." I honestly don't remember the other thing. Karen, I'm glad you like them, but I don't do commission work. It takes all the fun out of the hobby when you have a deadline and stuff. I just like to do this for fun, you know? "Oh, come on. It wouldn't take you long. Just make her like 6 of them, and then I can tell her I did it." I laughed because I thought it was a joke. Karen laughed, so I thought it was a joke, and we didn't speak about it anymore. Cut to today at work. "You know, I've been telling my daughter-in-law I'm working on something extra special for her for the shower this weekend." "Oh really? What have you been up to?" Karen looks at me like I'm an idiot. "The little embroidered burp cloths." "Oh, Karen, that's great. How are they turning out?" I thought Karen had picked up a new hobby. Karen started laughing. "I don't know, you tell me." We just sit in mutually confused silence for about 15 seconds. "Did you not finish them yet? It's been like 6 weeks. The shower is on Sunday." "What are you talking about?" "I told you I wanted some of the cloths you make for my daughter-in-law for her baby shower." "I remember. And I told you I don't do commission work." There was an awkward pause. "I know. So are you done or not?" Apparently Karen thought that when I said I don't do commission work and like just to do hobby work, she assumed that I would be making her half a dozen burp cloths for free. She then got mad at me because it's 1:30 on a Friday. I don't have time to shop for a gift now. She's mad at me because I have put her in an awkward position. She offered to give me $10 for materials and another $10 if I could pick the stuff up after work and get them done by tomorrow afternoon. And and acted like that was a heck of a deal. I called my husband from the parking lot when I got off work, and he gave me a speech about not being a doormat and that she can shove it. I feel badly for the daughter-in-law, but I can't bust out that much work in one day, and I never agreed to it in the first place. I had a small CB-ish situation this morning, maybe more spoiled brat. Either way, I'd like to vent over my lunch break. I work in accounting, and every year for Valentine's Day, I get everyone in my department, 8 people, one of those $1 heart boxes of chocolates from Walmart. I had just got done dropping them off at their respective desks and returned to mine when our new, they'd been there for 3 months, HR manager swung by and asked where her chocolate box was. I thought it was a joke at first and laughed it off. She wasn't joking. Demanded to know where her chocolates were. Our conversation went along these lines. I only got chocolates for accounting. Why didn't you get some for HR? Because I only got them for my department? HR is your department. No, HR is the HR department. My boss is your boss, so that makes us in the same department. Her boss is the CFO. My boss is the controller, whose direct boss is the CFO. So I should have gotten some for IT too? No, just HR. But IT is also under the CFO, as is marketing. They started to become annoyed. No, just HR. Let me get this right, so I don't screw up in the future. If your boss is my boss's boss, that makes us the same department. Yes. Should I have gotten some for engineering? Why would you get some for engineering? Their boss is the president, who is your boss's boss, and my boss's boss's boss. That makes engineering your department, and since you're in my department, they're in my department. And sales, and customer service, and production, and... She interrupts me all annoyed. Look, just give me a box of chocolates. I don't have any extra. I only got them for my department. I'm gonna write you up then. At this point, I'm passed through and get up. She asks where I'm going, so I tell her I'm going to my boss. CB follows me, muttering she's going to get me fired, blah blah. The CFO's office is 2 down from our controllers, so when I reach my boss, I politely call down for him to come over if he has a free minute. He does. All smiles. He's a really nice guy. Asks how my Valentine's Day is going. I told him and my boss that it's not going good. I'm getting written up because I didn't get HR chocolates when I brought accounting some. Both of these guys know I bring accounting boxes every year. My boss stops typing, takes off her glasses, turns around, and simply said, "Like frick she is." Love this woman. The CFO is more civil. Asks Choosing Beggar why Choosing Beggar thinks she's entitled to chocolates when she's not in the accounting department. At this point, CB has realized she's done wrong and tries to backpedal. I tell my boss and the CFO the reasoning CB gave me as to why she should have gotten them. The more I explain boss's boss equals the same department to them, the CFO gets more and more confused. He asks CB to come to his office for a talk and requests I get back to work. After a bit, she did the walk of shame back to her office and shut the door. It's late lunch now, and she still hasn't come back out. The HR department are supposed to be the ones who help resolve conflicts within the company. So to have the HR person be the one who's causing a conflict, well, I can't see that person being employed there for much longer. I'd like to think that she was in the room talking to the bosses for so long because they were probably asking her what she imagines her future at the company is going to look like. Entitled people seem to really lack that awkwardness filter. You know that moment when you're not sure if you're invited to someone's party or not? And they're talking about it right in front of you. You know, most people feel really awkward like, oh, maybe I am invited, but they haven't said anything yet. But just in case, I'm not gonna say anything right now, because I don't want to weasel my way into a party that I wasn't invited to. A choosing beggar would be like, well, this is my chance to weasel my way in, despite how awkward the conversation's gonna be. I don't use Reddit often, outside of lurking, but I love listening to your videos covering the stories, so I dusted off my old account to write this. It's a long one, so buckle up. I work at pizza places as a front-end manager in Austin. New York style pizza. It's an awesome place to work, and we close at 10 most nights. We also run a tight ship, only me, the pizza chef, and the fry cook. It was about 9:54. This oddly specific time is important. It had been dead for 30 minutes, so I yelled to my boys, "I'm calling it, let's close up." In 30 minutes we were dead. We had already cleaned up and did our side work. All that was left was the register. So as soon as I had called it, the chef and the fryer clocked out. I was by myself. I locked the doors, turned off the lights and AC, and started closing the registers. We get a call. We're closed, so I ignored it and focused on the register. Call again. This happens one more time and I'm so busy counting money that I can't answer. In hindsight, I should have answered. I realized that and I regret it. At 10:02, I remember because I have to text my boss our numbers, so I was on my phone and saw the time. I see a man approach my door. We'll call him Pizza Beggar. Pizza Beggar starts furiously knocking on my door. I walk up to it, confused. "Hello, sorry, we're closed right now." "I've been calling you for 20 minutes and you haven't answered." "Sir, I haven't gotten any calls except for a few less than 5 minutes ago. I'm sorry."
"I can show you my phone records. Don't try to downplay this."
I pull out the cordless phone from my apron and scroll to find his calls since we have caller ID. See, these are the calls I got from you. They started at 9:56. I should mention he wanted 4 pizzas and 20 wings. I could include that part of the conversation, but it's a bit tedious.
Well, you could have at least answered the darn phone, so I didn't waste my time."
That's completely fair. I'm sorry, sir. I was just busy with the register.
"Who even authorized you to close early? Where's your manager?"
He doesn't spend a lot of time here. I'm the front-end manager, so I called it. We turn over the oven and fryers about 10 minutes before, for safety reasons anyways.
"You can't just throw us some wings or a pizza real quick? It can't take that long. This is bullcrap."
"Sir, both of my cooks are gone. I'm not a pizza chef and the appliances are cooled down. The most I could do is a salad."
"This is ridiculous. Can you at least comp me some free pizzas for this massive inconvenience?"
"While I am the FEM, I don't have that authority, but I'll leave a note for my GM. I'm terribly sorry. I got his name."
"Fine, whatever. Screw you."
And he huffs away. Spoiler alert, I totally do have that authority. If he would have been kind and understanding, just a simple, "Oh man, I'm sorry. I knew I was cutting it close. There's nothing I can get? Okay, we'll have a good night." I would have hooked him up. Apologized profusely, given him my name and schedule so he knew when to come in. But an aggressive man banging on my door while I'm alone? I have a decent amount of money I'm counting. 1, I'm annoyed at his entitlement. 2, I was scared. I don't know why this was second in my mind. I was alone, a girl in her mid-20s, late at night, while a man shouting at her. You think for a second I'm giving you stuff for free? No. My nana picked me up. She came in on the tail end of the altercation. When I told her, she was like,
"Why did you open the door? That is so dangerous. You're a young girl, alone at night with money, fighting with an angry guy? That could have gone bad fast."
And she ain't wrong. Never left a note, never heard from the guy since. I'm calling this a qualified win. My customers across the board are always so sweet, or at least polite, so this is highly unusual for me. Never again. Once that door is locked, no matter the time, never opening it again. I don't know why some people don't understand this. Like if a place is closing at 10, then that doesn't mean you can arrive there 2 minutes before 10. That means they are finished work at 10. That means you need to get there 20 minutes beforehand at least, just in case. And if you're serving the last few customers while cleaning and closing up, it can take a lot longer than you think to actually do the close. So yeah, maybe sometimes you can sneak in if you're lucky, but you're definitely not entitled to pizza. On the other hand, what does frustrate me is when you go to a place like an hour before close and they're closing up. I get that some nights are slow, but if it's advertised online that say it's closing at 10 and you get there at 9 and it's closed, that's pretty frustrating, especially if you've made the drive assuming that they're going to still be open for the last hour. Anyway, that wasn't the situation for this guy, so no mercy spared there. Submit your story to be read on the channel at VoiceyHereStories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.